Oh boy, okay, so Niantic has found themselves in hot water once again with their community, and it all involves this Kanto Tour redo event that they recently announced. They were met with a lot of backlash, they were met with a lot of disappointment, and I think it's rightfully so, considering that I really feel like Niantic completely missed the mark with what their community was expecting for this redo event, and I really think that moving forward, Niantic has to take into consideration why people actually participate in these events, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Let's roll the intro and get right into it. And how's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Count here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Kanto Tour redo event and why players are extremely upset at Niantic regarding this redo event. I mean, really, it's not necessarily something that players should be upset about, considering that we're essentially getting a bunch of free stuff. But because Niantic were essentially being tone deaf with what players were upset about, I really feel like a lot of players were very frustrated, and rightfully so. But in order to fully understand that, we need to talk about what exactly is happening. So, why are players upset about this event? Well, first and foremost, the reason why we're getting this redo event in the first place is because that when it came to the Kanto Tour event, it was something that was not cheap. A lot of players spent a lot of money in order to get this event, but a small subset of players were actually able to participate in this event for free, and that was due to a glitch. Because of that, a lot of people who spent money on this ticketed event felt like they got ripped off, considering that other players out there were able to do what they paid for free. So yeah, a lot of players were pretty upset about that. But Niantic was fully aware of it, and they were fully aware that players were not happy about this, so they announced that they were going to do some sort of redo event that would compensate players who paid for this ticket. But of course, once they announced what exactly that redo event would consist of, a lot of players were extremely unhappy about it. And if you look at how they formatted this redo event, I mean, they made a pretty big omission from it. When it came to the Kanto Tour event itself, people were more excited about the spawns, and yes, the spawns were the highlight of this particular event. But rather than focusing in on those spawns, they were basically going to give us a boatload of different premium items, along with some items that players can generally get for free through regular gameplay, and because of that, players were just generally not happy about it. So the redo event itself, it's basically going to be a timed special research that's going to award you some items like Poffins and a super incubator, even an elite fast TM and an elite charge TM as well. So in terms of monetary value, they're actually giving us quite a lot for what we paid for. Of course, during the Kanto Tour event itself, we did receive a lot of premium items from it. So comparatively speaking, if you were to spend $12 on Pokecoins, we're still able to get a lot more items than we typically would have had with $12 worth of Pokecoins. But like I said, it's really not about the items or the monetary value of the ticket. It's all about the spawns and the bonuses that came with the ticket. People didn't buy the Kanto Tour event ticket for the different items that they could have gotten throughout the day. They got it for the shiny Ditto, they got it for all of the different shinies that we could have potentially have gotten throughout the event, and of course for eventually shiny Mew. So this is really something that they should have highlighted with this redo event. They really should have given us extra time for those special spawns and give us a chance to actually collect even more shinies than we ended up getting. But instead of doing that, they ended up giving us a bunch of different items through a limited research instead. So yeah, that is the gist of this controversy. So let's talk about what Niantic could do moving forward. First and foremost, they should really postpone this event so that they could add those bonus spawns, and maybe they can make the timing a little bit better, maybe have it on a Sunday or a Saturday, considering that for this to be out on Friday is very inconvenient for people who work on Fridays. But yeah, maybe they could have a weekend where they could just have the spawns spawning for about 3 to 6 hours and just make that the bonus. Or they could do something really interesting, like give everyone a shiny Ditto, like for anyone that bought the ticket. I mean, that alone should be good enough as compensation that will get people to stop complaining. I know I certainly would stop complaining if they were to give me a second shiny Ditto for my troubles, but yeah, that's just besides the point. Look, what it comes down to is that Niantic really needs to pay attention to what their community is actually looking for when it comes to these paid ticketed events. And if they're going to compensate us for any kind of mistake that they've made, then they need to keep those wants and desires in mind, because that's really what it comes down to. With this compensation, it's actually not bad on paper. Getting all of these monetary items, it's actually really good value for the ticketed event. I mean, getting a whole bunch of different items is always going to be really nice, especially for players like me who are more free to play, so getting super incubators and raid passes is always going to be a little bit more difficult. So I'm going to take freebies every chance I get. So I could totally understand for people who are more pay to win that they regularly spend money in this game and they get these items anyway. Like, yeah, they're going to feel a little bit more jaded by this, considering that they're spending money in the game in order to get special spawns, right? I mean, it may not necessarily be a pay-to-win mechanic, but it is something that players are really looking forward to. This tweet from Pope Dave pretty much summarizes why players are upset. So in regards to the Kanto Tour redo event, this is what he has to say. Let me explain. We are collectors. Having the choice of red or green was based upon spawns, not items. For the vast majority of trainers, the deciding factor between the two choices was based upon needing the shiny or XL candy farming. This is thoroughly missing the mark, and I fully agree with him. I mean, one of the big motivations that I had for the Kanto Tour event was collecting new shinies and getting a bunch of XL candies for a bunch of my shundos. I mean, if you go back and watch my vlog for the Kanto Tour event, that's precisely what I was focusing in on throughout the entirety of the event. And yes, there was a lot of nice bonuses that I also participated in, like the catch challenge and different things like that, but my primary focus was around XL candies and getting new shinies. If I wanted a whole bunch of different premium items, then I would have spent money on Pokecoins for those premium items, but I was really going for the experience. I was going for the Pokemon spawns. I really feel like that's where the value of the ticketed event really was, and I really feel like Niantic completely missed that, and they assumed that just getting a whole bunch of stuff that makes the monetary value of that ticket higher than what it was is what they assume what we would want, but that's really far from the case. So yeah, did Niantic miss the mark? Absolutely they did, and in order to make it up to players, I really feel like what they need to do is readjust this redo event. They really need to make sure that these spawns are what's being highlighted, and they need to make up the event with that in mind. I don't know if this means we're going to have another makeup event, but when it comes to this whole thing, I just really feel like Niantic has a lot of ground to make up. I mean, they've been on a roller coaster for the past year, and in a lot of ways I don't blame them for that. I mean, they've been doing a lot of great things for Pokemon Go. Like, there's been some really big highs, but there's been a lot of low lows as well. Like, they've been making some mistakes here and there, followed by some really big successes, and I really feel like we just want some consistency from Niantic. I mean, for crying out loud, a vast majority of Niantic employees do play their game. I've had some personal experience with that. I've raided with a couple of Niantic employees. I've actually seen them very active in the GBL, and when they came to Chicago for Pokemon Go Fest 2 years ago, I was able to do a full community day with them, and it's very obvious to me, at least, that they are very active with this game. They know a lot of the intricacies that players actually care about, especially hardcore players, like IVs and min-maxing and different things like that, and what moves are actually really useful. So yeah, they are very aware of how players are playing their game and what players want. So I really feel like this move was kind of boneheaded and lazy. I mean, I'm not saying Niantic is lazy. I mean, some people will say that they are, but I really feel like when it came to this particular makeup event, they just really missed the mark. But in any case, yeah, these are just my thoughts regarding this whole controversy, and I know this is kind of ongoing, considering that they just announced what this redo event was going to be. So I would love to know your thoughts down below. What do you think about this whole makeup event? Do you think a lot of that controversy is well merited, or do you think the community is being overreactive? I would just love to know what you are thinking, so definitely share those thoughts in the comment section below. And if it's your first time here, make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you ended up enjoying this video, and subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that little bell. And of course, do do consider supporting me on Patreon if that's your thing. If you really enjoy my content and you want to support it in some way, you can do that by becoming a patron on my Patreon. And yes, there are some nice little perks as well. So yeah. In any case, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, and I'll catch you all later.